Okay, so welcome. We're on the bottom of Gezayin with Beis, and the subject yesterday was about schach pasel. How much schach pasel is going to disqualify the sukkah? So the Mishnah spoke about air and schach pasel. Air, it says that less than 3 tefachim, less than 3 handbreadths is still kosher, but if it's already 3 handbreadths, 3 tefachim, so it's pasel. And by schach pasel, it said that till dalet amos. But even though it gave 3 examples, all the 3 examples happened to be on the side of the sukkah, between the wall and the schach. And over there it said the shear is dalet amos. And the Gemara has a discussion about schach pasel in the middle of the sukkah. What's going to be the shear? And it is interesting. The Mishnah gives all 3 examples. It speaks about the side, and some say there's no difference. The middle also will be the same halacha. The Mishnah Lachar could have given at least one example of the middle, but it doesn't. But anyway, 2 Lashonos. Shmuel definitely holds that in the middle.
Actually, Rebbe, that's the kasha of the Pnei Yeshua on the maskana of the sugya. That is his kasha.
Okay, thank you. And I should turn it this way.
Yeah,
this way.
true.
It's good. Okay. And Shmuel holds definitely that in the middle of the schach even for tefachim. And Rav, there are 2 lashonos, but Rav holds maybe in middle of the sukkah also till dalet amos is kosher. And according to that, no such thing as dofen akuma. You don't have to come on to that lump that's called dofen akuma, the bent wall. Nothing to do with dofen akuma. The shear of dalet schach pasel is dalet amos. So the Gemara is in the middle of analyzing and bringing proofs to that. The Gemara starts 3 lines from the bottom, Tashma, which we had this Mishnah before about boards, and there was that boards is kosher schach minad din. It's wood. It's not. It grows from the ground. It's not makabel tumah. It's not attached. But the question was, they maybe make a gzeres otzar, gzeres tikra. I'm sorry. That maybe people think, what's the difference? This and my roof in the house is the same thing. You'll go to his house, and there was machlokes if they made the gzera even on boards that are less than 4 tefachim, and what does Rabbi Yehuda hold over there? So this brisa Tashma was the brisa we brought as a support to Shmuel back there, and Daf Yudalet over there. That if it's 4 tefachim wide boards, everybody holds that it's not good, even Rabbi Yehuda, and Rabbi Meir holds that it's not good even if it's less than 4 tefachim. We're just recalling what we learned before. Tashma sechach ben sam shalev sheish ben arba tefachim tibia kol psula. Even Rabbi Yehuda would hold that if it's wide boards 4 tefachim it's puzzle. And when dalet, if it's less than 4 tefachim, everybody holds it's still puzzle. May post Rabbi Yehuda Mashi. Just to recall that sugya, we paskin that 4 tefachim boards are puzzle like Rabbi Yehuda, but if it will be less than 4 tefachim, it will be kosher. But this brisa doesn't hold like that. This brisa says what your mayor would hold. Fine. You paskin like Rabbi Yehuda according to Shmuel, or like Rav according to Rabbi Meir, whatever it might be. But 4 tefachim is a problem. Less than 4 tefachim is kosher. What does the Gemara want from this? The next brisa. So far we didn't see anything. Not enough. We go to the next brisa. Top line on Daf Yud Ches. Even if you hold that you have a problem with these wooden boards that they pass from Rabbanan because they're sikra, but you could still make a kosher sukkah by alternating these boards and putting schach kosher in between. So if you have between each board, you put kosher schach, the word psal means the psal is going to be you put kosher schach, so then it'll be kosher. Now, we're going now, no difference if the boards are 4 tefachim or less than 4 tefachim. And it says if you alternate the schach kosher and the schach pasel, you can get a kosher sukkah. That's very nice as far as how much schach you have. You have equal schach kosher and equal schach pasel. So we said, Paras Komet is mutter, that's fine. But there was a problem that if you have 4 tefachim of schach pasel, in the middle of the sukkah, it's already pasel the sukkah. So it's very nice that you have schach kosher, but each layer, each strip of schach pasel already divides the sukkah. Where's your sukkah now? If you hold the have till dalet amos, so it's fine. That less than dalet amos doesn't pass the sukkah. And as far as schach kosher and schach pasel, you have equal, it's kosher. But if you hold that 4 tefachim already breaks the sukkah, so what kind of sukkah is this? Third line. If you hold that even in the middle of the sukkah, it doesn't pass the sukkah until you have 4 amos, so it's kosher because you have less than dalet amos, so only have boards of 4 tefachim, and you have enough schach kosher. That doesn't make sense. You have alternating schach kosher, schach pasel, and each schach kosher is only 4 tefachim, but each schach pasel is 4 tefachim already, so it buys the sukkah. I'm Mike Shera. So we mentioned this earlier. We mentioned it from Rashi because he brings down this Gemara, but here's where the Gemara says it. I'm talking about a sukkah which is exactly 8 amos. The Yov Nesop Psalm Hagisa. The Nesop Psalm Hagisa. The evolution Psalm Bemsa. The Ika Hechsher Sukkah Bemsa. Even though it says that you're alternating, the Gemara says don't think alternating literally that you have Puzzle kosher, puzzle kosher, puzzle kosher the whole way down, because then it's true. You're not going to have any place where there's a kosher sukkah, because you have 4 tefachim that's dividing it. But the case is that you started alternating from both sides. So you started from both sides, puzzle, a board, and then kosher, and then puzzle, then kosher, then puzzle, then kosher. So you have 2 koshers that meet in the middle. So you did get 8 tefachim of kosher schach. And that's why you have a shir sukkah, because all you have to have a 7 by 7 tefachim. You have 8 tefachim, that's good enough. And the fact that you have a lot of puzzle on the way, since you can have a dofen akuma. We're going now according to the man that says that in the side, in the middle, 4 tefachim is already too much schach puzzle. But on the sides, everyone agrees on the sides, a lot of dalaramas. So if you explain that the alternation is going to go in a way that you started alternating from each side, but you did end up in the middle with 2 kosher ones that are adjacent, so you'll have a kosher sukkah, because dofen akuma on both sides, and in the middle you have 8 tefachim of schach kosher, and that's good enough. So the Gemara got out of the problem from this Mishnah, even according to the Mandam that says you only say 4 tefachim in the middle. That's the end of the sugya. And
can you sit underneath the 4?
The 4
right.
boards.
So
It's kosher sukkah.
it's a kosher sukkah, but you're not allowed to sit under it. Right. That's very
The
good.
4 boards, right? But the 4 boards are not like.
We paskin that the boards again. Allah just said Allah now. After we finish that on the side, we say the bent wall theory, not theory, bent wall law of Allah Moshe Sinai, and it's considered a bent wall, but you can't sit under the wall. So the sukkah is you could utilize the wall, and you could say that the wall is next to the schach, and you see even though it's bent, okay, that's part of the bent wall, and I can still utilize the wall to be part of the sukkah, but you can't sit under the wall. And if you have boards, you said that boards that are 4 tefachim in the middle of the sukkah, we say you pass like the mandam where that says that 4 tefachim in the middle of it's already a problem. The halacha for arm is only on the sides because of dofen akuma, the bent wall. But in the middle, we paskin that 4 tefachim is already considered separating the sukkah. So you surely cannot even. In that case, you surely cannot even sit under it. Less than 4 tefachim, the pasha says you would be able to sit under it. Schach pasel less than 4 tefachim, then it's even doesn't pass the sukkah, and you can consider under it also. I think the Mishnah Berurah brings down some that are makmer only they'll sit less than 3 tefachim. The pasha says less than 4 tefachim, you're allowed to sit under it also. So again, on the sides, less than 4 tefachim, you're allowed to even sit under. If it's schach pasel, you're allowed to even sit under it, and less than if it's 4 tefachim, so then it's pasels the sukkah in the middle. On the side, you can use dofen akuma, and you're not going to be able to sit under it. That seems to sum up the halacha.
I think I heard.
Did I answer the question?
Yeah, but the problem is that the four slats, they're all over the place. How are you going to sit anyway?
That's what he said. That you alternated it, starting from the sides. Puzzle kosher, puzzle kosher, puzzle kosher. So everything on the side is dofen akuma. You don't sit under there. In the middle, you have 8 tefachim that you're allowed to sit under.
Even though they alternate.
They alternate. Just use imagination. That you alternating, but you don't have puzzle kosher, puzzle kosher, puzzle kosher the whole way. You have on the sides. You started with the puzzle kosher, puzzle kosher, puzzle kosher. So you have 2 koshers next to each other.
Right. So that's what you said.
Oh, so the only place in the whole sukkah you can sit is the middle.
Right.
Everywhere else, you're under some kind of a board.
You're under dofen akuma. Right. You're under
So
dofen
it's not a
akuma.
practical solution if you're.
You have 8 in the middle.
You have to have
Pretty
small.
bad scene if you have guests.
You put the women in the
You have-
outer part and the men in the middle part.
You always put the word there, but there's a problem that if you have a few chevra and you want to sing a little bit, you don't know where to put them.
Don't make it so
Only in the line in the middle. That's the only place you're gonna sit is the corner.
And you put the tables on the outside.
How many sukkahs?
Just
How many
talking,
sukkahs do you have like we're learning? Okay, how many sukkahs do you have like we're learning?
All
We
right,
have
now.
sukkahs that tremendous. You can fit 100 people and it's all kosher. And
Okay.
there's no puzzle.
Okay, look, it's
right?
we're talking about halakhic theory.
Right,
It's
okay,
it's
that's
not like
all.
practical halakhic. We don't do it.
Your
But
your
let's just-
kosher, your sukkah is kosher. My the Rebbe has the kosher sukkah. We can read everything. Okay, so.
Amar Abaye. New sugya. Avish Loshe b'sukkah gedol l'miyat beim kana beim mishpud and avimiyat. If you have a big sukkah, we're talking about big sukkah, it's a big sukkah, and you have ear that's 3 tefachim, that's a problem, right? 3 tefachim is divides the sukkah. 3 tefachim is puzzle. How could you minimize the 3 tefachim? Either one of 2 ways. You could put in schach kosher. So now you have less than 3 tefachim. That's pasha, that is good. And also bishpudim. You could put also
Middle.
Why is it kosher? Because you have less than 3 tefachim of beer, you have less than 4 tefachim of schach pasel, that is kosher. But the sukkah ketana, if the whole sukkah is a minimum size sukkah, 7 by 7 tefachim, so then, and you have a space of tefachim, become with schach kosher to fill up that part of that, you minimize the 3 tefachim, so it's kosher because you have less than 3 tefachim. But the shpud and lavim, even though altogether the schach pasel and the ear together is 3 tefachim, and you have 4 tefachim of schach kosher, it's still not enough because altogether there's a significant amount of non-kosher schach, either ear or schach pasel. So if you have a minimum size sukkah, you can't have 3 tefachim of non-kosher schach, non-kosher or ear. Again, you're allowed to have a sukkah of 7 tefachim, which is going to have 3 tefachim of schach pasel. But if you can have, is that true? I think maybe I'm wrong even on that. That if you have to have, it seems this, the Gemara says, the words of the Gemara, I didn't look into it deeper. The Gemara says that if you have 3 tefachim of ear space, how much schach kosher do you have? 4 tefachim. You have 4 tefachim of schach kosher, 3 tefachim of ear space. If you put in schach kosher, it's okay because now you have less than 3 tefachim of ear space. But if you put in schach pasel, even though altogether you have less than 3 tefachim of ear space, less than 4 tefachim of schach pasel, and altogether you only have a problematic 3 tefachim, it's not good. Because 3 tefachim of a problematic schach, either ear or schach, even though a combination of both of them together, it's also not good because it's significant enough that you don't have enough schach kosher. You have 4 tefachim of schach kosher, that's not enough. You have to have less. It seems that I was thinking now that if you have 3 tefachim of schach pasel, also it's not good. You have to have less than 3 tefachim in the minimum size sukkah. You only can have less than 3 tefachim, even of schach pasel.
You said this yesterday.
We said it yesterday. But yesterday
We know this a lot. We did it like yesterday.
a little bit. Yeah, we did it yesterday. I said it yesterday also. So that seems to be the halacha. Even though the Gemara is talking about a combination of ear space and schach pasel, the same thing would be by schach pasel alone. If you have a minimum size sukkah of 7 tefachim, you're not allowed to have 3 tefachim, even of schach pasel.
You can have 2 and a half.
Yes. You have to have less than
3.
right. We'll call it. You have to have at least
4 and a mashu.
4 and a mashu of schach kosher. If you only have 4 of them, even though 4 is more than 3 also, that's not, you have to have 4 and a mashu of schach kosher, then the rest of it can be whatever you want. I think I said it right. Okay, new Gemara.
Excuse me, you were muted. I don't know. You said okay, new sugya, and then you were muted.
Thank you. Okay. Am I still muted? I don't.
No, now you're not. Now you're not muted. I don't know.
Okay, I didn't do anything. So what happened? Okay, thank you. Back on again. Do you have any pictures, Leib Yaakov, before we get on to the next sugya?
No, and I have a feeling that the reason I had the pictures were because we were behind, and there's like a delay. So like I still don't even have. I don't have any pictures for the yesterday stuff still.
Okay, so new sugya. Han immediately starts a new sugya. It's going back to the Mishnah. The Mishnah is very interesting. Just to point out about Manuel said from Pnei Yeshua that the Mishnah says both cases about ear and about schach pasel, and it said ear till 3 tefachim, and it said schach pasel till dalet amos. Both cases talk about the side. That was the Mishnah. So the Mishnah.
The Pnei Yeshua is a one-liner, so it's kedai to read. The Pnei Yeshua hiksha im kain madua neket hatana din zeh shedalet amos posel v'sukkah min hatzad v'lo nek tu be'emsa. V'arei af be'emsa eino posel b'dalet amos.
Good. A similar sugya is coming up now about the airspace. By the airspace, the Mishnah says also a case of being on the side. How about if you have airspace in the middle? And the Mishnah doesn't talk about it. Again, the Mishnah says on the previous page, it says that that's when we started last night, that if you distance the schach sideways away from the wall, 3 tefachim is possible, less than 3 tefachim is kosher. And the Gemara doesn't talk. How about in the middle? Both cases of the Mishnah spoke about the side for some reason, and we want to know how about in the middle. So
like a strip, it's a strip all the way down.
Right.
3
3 tefachim, right.
If it's less than 3 tefachim, it's okay. If it's
No,
more than
we're not so sure. That's the subject. The Mishnah talks about less than 3 tefachim on the side. If you distance the schach from the wall, less than 3 tefachim is kosher. How about if you have a split down the middle of the sukkah that's less than 3 tefachim? Is it also kosher? Everybody thinks yes, but the Gemara is not so sure. The Gemara starts. the din that less than 3 tvachim is kosher is only on the side of the sukkah. That's what it says in the Mishnah. The Mishnah says, and less than 3 tvachim is okay. But it talks about the side, distancing the schach from the wall. How about if it will be in the middle? The emsa is machlokes amaran. Machlokes between these amaran. We don't know who says what. Some say that the concept of love applies even in the middle of the sukkah. Some say no, it only applies on the side. And we're going to pass in the lenient yesh lav b'emsa. We pass in yesh lav b'emsa that you could say love it even in the middle. Which again, the kasha is going to be now. So why does the Mishnah say the halacha only in the side? By Dofen Akuma, we're happy. The Pnei Yeshua is a kasha on the one we don't pass on like that. The din of the Mishnah says that 4 amas is a problem by schach basel. It says it on the side. It's very nice because on the side is the Alan amas Dofen Akuma, but in the middle is 4 tvachim. But now the Gemara is going to say how about the airspace, and we're going to pass that the airspace is also the shear is 3 tvachim even in the middle. So why does the Mishnah say it only on the side? I don't know. But as far
Rabbi, the Pnei Yoshua is addressing the fact that the Ritva, the Ramban, and the Rosh all hold that the Tama Mishnah is not Mishum Dofen Akuma, Ela Mishum Pakos Mi'arba Amos Eno Chotzetz Mina Kosel L'Schach. And therefore he asks, well, so if that's the proof, so why is all the Dugmaot only Minatzad and not Minamsa?
Okay, I'll have to hear it again later. I didn't get that, but we have to continue. So here we're talking about airspace, and it says that airspace is kosher on the side, less than 3 tvachim, and the machlokas is if it's kosher in the middle also. Machlokas, some say yes, some say not. And now the Gemara is going over the Shas, different places, taking a cruise to other halachas. Do you say love it also in the middle, or do you say love it only on the side? Where's the proof of where's the source of the one who says that you can say love it even in the middle of the sukkah, which is the way we paskin. The Tanya. This is going now to Erevin. Erevin, we know that you have a mavui, you have mavuy's alleyway, you have 3 walls, and the front wall is open up to Rishus Harabim, and Midrabanan, you have to make some kind of heker or machitza, and putting either a lechi or a korah, you put a beam across, and that's supposed to be considered the machitza for the 4th side, machitza or heker. So, talk about korah. Korah is the beam that goes from wall to wall in the entrance coming into the alleyway. Korah Yossi because of Zeb and Nagas because of Lacher. It wasn't long enough. It started coming out on one side, but it didn't reach the other side. Also, if it came out from the 2 sides of the walls and it didn't meet in the middle, this is what we're looking for. We're looking for a case of love it in the middle. So, if it's less than 3 tvachim, it's kosher because you say love it. If it's 3 tvachim, then it's too much. You don't say love it. What does it say? It says openly. Not a roof, a korah. Korah is a beam. You know that by Erevin that you have a mavui, the entranceway going into all the courtyards. So you have 3 walls over there, but the right sits instead of the Rishus Yachid. But the front opening opens up straight into the Rishus Harabim. So you have to put a korah, either a lechi, a standing post, or a korah across. Here it says, what if the korah doesn't go from wall to wall? What if the korah just goes, it meets it within 3 tvachim? It didn't make it all across, or it started off on both sides and it didn't meet in the middle. Mm-hmm. So you have to. So it says in the brisa that love it is okay. If it's less than 3 tvachim, it's kosher. No difference if it's on the side. No difference if it's in the middle. It says over here that even in this case where it starts from both sides, that they didn't meet in the middle, it's kosher. If it's less than 3 tvachim, what do you see? If you say love it even in the middle. Same way by Erevin, you say it by sukkah also. So that's a proof to the one who says that you say love it in the middle. The idach, but the other opinion is going to say it's not a proof. Shani Kol is Rabbanan. The whole din over there by Erevin is only Rabbanan, but the Raisi Yavu because you have 3 walls. The whole din of making a Kol is only Rabbanan. So they said, okay, for our invention of the prohibition of carrying without a 4th wall, so it's enough to do love with even in the middle, but not that shows that as the Raisa. On the Torah value, we wouldn't say that love works. So it's not a raya to our case where by sukkah you have to have a kosher schach, and maybe you don't say love in the middle. Now the Gemara goes the other way about the one who says you don't say love in the middle. My time of the mandama ain't love with them. So what's the source of the one who says you don't say love in the middle? So in short, what Gemara is going to bring now is a din of tumah. Well, let's just say a preview before we see the words inside. Everybody knows there's a din of tumas ohel, that if there's a dead man in a room under a roof, not even a roof, nothing to do with the walls, under the roof. So it makes tumah under the whole roof. What if you have a hole in the roof? What the Gemara is going to call a skylight. You have a hole in the roof. There's tumah, the dead man, but there's
Directly above the body.
no, not yet. Under the house, under the roof, and you are standing, or somebody's standing, or a Kli is standing under the skylight. So he's not under the same roof, even though there's the tumah. So that's what it's going to say. The tumah spreads under the whole roof, but it doesn't go under the skylight. And even it's going to say even if it's a tefach or less than a tefach, there's no difference. And you don't say less than 3 tefachim is considered stuffed up. So then what I was going to say, do you see that you don't say love with? The Gemara, just what Chaim David said, that if the dead man is under the skylight, also, someone goes straight up over. If someone's going to be on top of the roof and stick his hand over, so he put his hand over the dead man, but it's not going to spread under the whole house because the dead man is not under the roof. There's no roof over him, and the Bryce is going to say the same thing twice. That there's no difference if the skylight is a tefach by a tefach, which is also not so big, and even if it's less than a tefach. The Bryce is going to seemingly repeat itself and say there's no difference between a tefach less than a tefach. All that is not our concern. Our concern is all this is less than 3 tefachim. And you see that you don't say less than 3 tefachim is considered stuffed up. That's what the Gemara wants to bring, that you don't say love with b'emtza. This is the Mishnah. The Tan, Aruba Shababayis, a skylight in a house. Aruba is the skylight in a house. Uba pasech tefach, it's a tefach big. The skylight is a tefach by tefach. Tima babayis, kulo tameh, but mashe keneged Aruba tor. If there's tumah in the house, a dead man or kazayis benames, is tumah sohel. So the whole house is tameh. Under the whole roof, the tumah spreads. But whatever is opposite the skylight is tor because it didn't go because he's not under the roof. That kli, or it's not a person because the whole thing is a tefach. So a kli, you have something, a pen, something that's under the skylight. It doesn't become tameh because the tumah didn't flow under the skylight. The opposite case, tumah keneged aruba. This is Chaim Dov's case. If the tumah is going to be opposite the skylight, b'abayis kulo tor. This tumah only goes straight up over into the skylight, and someone's on top over there will become tameh. But the whole house is tahor because there's no roof over the tumah. It's going to say the same thing over again, and it doesn't. In the way you read it over here, it doesn't make sense. Why does the Bryce repeat the same thing over again? And Rashi says over there in the Mishnah there are other ramifications of being a tefach less than a tefach. But as far as this halacha, there is no difference. So it says it over again. Even if the skylight is less than a tefach, it's also the same halacha. Tumah babayis keneged aruba tor, tumah keneged aruba kala babayis kulo tor. Same thing over again. That if there's tumah under the roof, so the whole house is tumah except for under the skylight. And if the tumah is opposite the skylight, then the whole only tumah is only keneged the skylight and not the rest of the house. So that's a side point that there's no difference if it's tefach less than a tefach. But as far as we want, it's less than 3 tefachim. You don't say that it's considered stuffed up. Why? It seems the Gemara thinks because you don't say love with memsa. So is that not a proof that you don't say love in the middle? The Gemara says tumah is different. The idach shtani hilchos tumah dachi gemiri alu. The halachas of tumah is a special halacha from Moshe Sinai. You can't learn that. You can't learn there from other places also. So it's no proof. End of the sugya. Machlokes, do you say by sukkah love it in the middle? We pass can you do? And therefore, if you have less than 3 tefachim of air in the middle of the sukkah, it's kosher. You're not supposed to sleep under it. You're not supposed to stay under. You're not supposed to stay under that airspace. By schach pasel, you could stay under the schach pasel if it's less than 4 tefachim. If it's airspace, it doesn't say over here, but I think that's the halacha that you're not supposed to stay under the airspace of less than 3 tefachim. I think. So.
Rebbe.
Chaim David saying something. 1 second, please.
If you're sleeping
Under the schach.
and then that 3 Arba is
Less than 3 tefachim.
Yes, but your whole rest of your body is under the full under the kashrut of the sukkah. The only part of you that's not under the kashrut of the sukkah is what is it, 3 or 4? Did we say 4?
I'm not following. What's the case?
The open space in the middle.
Less than 3 tefachim?
Is it 4 or is it 3?
3. You know, if it's 3 tefachim, it's split in the
Okay, 3.
sukkah.
So
Less
now
than 3.
but another 4 of me is sleeping in the sukkah. So what do I care about that 3 underneath the space?
If there's 3 tefachim, I'm not following. I'm not sure I'm following. But if you have 3 tefachim of a space, the sukkah is considered broken, and you have 2 sukkahs. If you have an airspace of 3 tefachim, so you look at if there's a 3 tefachim space, so that's considered 2 sukkahs now. So you have to look at each part. They have 3 walls.
Okay,
I might only have 2 walls.
If your head is under the airspace, then for sure it's. But let's say your head is in a good kosher place and your feet is stuck out there. Is that okay? Let's say your head is in the kosher part.
You have to have Rosh Haruba. You have to have Rosh Haruba in the kosher part. Rosh Haruba in the kosher part.
Rosh Haruba is in the sukkah, and
you
from
can have-
there down it's in
You
the
can have if Rosh Haruba is in the sukkah, you can have the rest of you could be outside in the street also.
That's what I'm saying.
nothing to
I'm
do
saying
there,
that it's
so-
only if you or if the Rosh
The part-
Haruba
the part-
is under the 4, that's a problem.
For sure, the part that doesn't have to be in the sukkah doesn't have to be in the sukkah. Yes, Rav Emanuel.
Yeah, the Chiddush in the poskim is figuring out why in Halacha Moshe Sinai you can join Lavud with Dofen Akuma, whereas you can't join Gudachis or Gudasik or other Halacha Moshe Sinai with Dofen Akuma. Here you see that by Lavud you can be Mitzaref Lavud with Dofen Akuma.
Where do you see that?
That's what it's saying in here. You're using both together.
I don't see anything about Dofen. I don't see anything here. It doesn't talk about Dofen Akuma. It just talks about Lovud. It doesn't say anything about airspace and Dofen Akuma. What do you see? What do you see? We're talking about Lovud alone. Where's Dofen Akuma? It talks about Lovud in the middle. Where do you see something about the combination of both together? I'm not following.
I'll find you the exact reference in the Gemara, but we'll go on with this here.
Okay, New Gemara. New Gemara, very short and simple. We know it already. That's Rabbi Yehuda bar Eloi. That's Rabbi Yehuda. Stam Rabbi Yehuda bar Eloi. So Rabbi Yehuda bar Eloi said, if you have a house that the roof came down, the middle of the roof came down, so, and you put schach in that place where there's no roof, it's kosher, which is our Mishnah. That was one of the 3 cases we spoke about, a house where the roof came in, and a chotzer with a chsadra with a courtyard, a second case, and a third case of schach posel all around. So he said that it's kosher. But he didn't specify that it depends if it's Daled Amos or not. It means this is the Mishnah, when the Mishnah spoke about this halacha, so it said that's only if the side of the house, the roof that you left, is less than Daled Amos. Once it's Daled Amos, then it's too much. So that's what Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi told Rabbi Yehuda that he should explain. Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Parish, Rabbi, you should explain. You should specify that it's only kosher. It isn't good if the middle of the roof came down and you put schach over there, but it's Daled Amos still the wall, because the other walls, and you can't utilize the walls. It's Daled Amos more than Dofen Akuma. So he said, Rabbi, you should explain. My father explained. My father Rabbi Yossi said, that it's only kosher if it's less than 4 amas. You can have Dofen Akuma. But if it's Daled Amos, then it's not kosher. So that's pashut, and we knew that the whole time. That was the way our Mishnah expressed it. But the Gemara brings a brisa where Rabbi Yehuda said half a story, and Rabbi Shmuel said you have to explain that it's only kosher until Daled Amos. If it's Daled Amos, it's not kosher. So no chiddush to us. The Gemara brings a bonus over here. One of those cruises. We go on a cruise now for a couple of lines, and it's only coming in because of the style. That you have a case where Darash Rabbi Yehuda, these words, Darash Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Eloi, he said something, and then Rabbi Shmuel, Darash Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Eloi, and then Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi said Rabbi Parish. So we're gonna have another thing that's nothing to do with us at all. The only connection is only the names and the style. Here goes the Gemara, but it is always interesting, especially these short cruises. You don't have to know anything besides that. You're not responsible for any Gemara besides. Darash Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Eloi, Avruma Sharia. Avruma is a kind of a fish. I don't know what it is. Doesn't make a difference for us. And it says that it's mutter to eat, and you don't have to be choshish for worms in the fish. You can eat the fish, it has no worms. Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Parish, you should have explained. Because Kacham Rabba, my father explained that it depends which river you get it from. There are some rivers that don't have worm problems, and some do. It means even though you're eating a kosher fish, but sometimes there are worms inside the fish, as we all know. And therefore, it isn't true that this kind of fish is always mutter. There are this type of fish. If it's in a certain river which does have worms, so then the fish will be yosser. Unless you check, you have to clean it out, make sure you have no worms inside.
Or worms. There's no kosher worm.
Some rivers don't have worms.
Oh, they don't have worms.
The fish
This
in that.
fish has worms. Oh, because it grew from inside.
I didn't say all that. I just said that some rivers don't have worms.
But here you got a fish with worms.
I don't have a fish with worms.
In this particular case, there was no fish with
Again,
worms.
they said a certain fish is kosher. You don't have to worry about worms.
It's gotta
Just
cook up.
eat it. Close your eyes and eat it. The other one said, Rabbi Shmuel said, no, it depends where you get the fish from. Some rivers, this kind of fish does have worms. So then you have to make sure you clean it out. Why? And
Because now you're talking in 2 different languages. Now you're saying the fish have there's some.
we're talking about a
fish
kosher. We're talking about a kosher fish,
Yeah,
and you're not allowed to eat the worms inside a kosher fish.
yeah.
And now it says that some places they don't have worm problems. They don't have worms.
So you don't have to check.
You don't have to check. They say nowadays the same thing. They talk about salmon.
It's a
Salmon,
chazak.
Norwegian salmon, they say is good because over there in the seas, whatever the ocean, wherever they get them, they don't have worms over there. Other places do have worm problems. It depends. Each thing. So he said that this kosher abruma, kosher fish, but some places they have a worm problem, so you got to clean it
All
out.
of
Some
the
places
herring,
don't.
like herring from Holland.
Okay. Now the Gemara says, the Gemara is going to bring a similar thing, not exactly the same case, and it's going to talk about that some places have problems, some places don't have problems. It depends on the environment. Sachanta is a kind of a fish. It's called chilik, and the sachanta problem. The issue of sachanta is that there's not a worm problem. There's a non-kosher fish problem. It means it's a kind of a fish which is kosher, but it's a very similar fish that is non-kosher. And sometimes when you catch a whole school of fish, you have to check because some of them are non-kosher. They have these problems today also, that they go fishing with the ships and they can take a net of boats, and sometimes together with that school of kosher fish. Sometimes you get a tuna fish. Let's say you get a dolphin also. You know,
So
you
I
have to
said
have.
they say on the same dolphin shape.
Right. Okay. So here the issue is, I don't know. This is a kind of small fish, and the issue is there a problem of the mixture of non-kosher fish? Nothing to do with worms. This has to do a similar case. The Gemara is comparing it. The conscience of the fish, not the conscience of the worms. So here it says, Abaye said that this fish, Sachanta, of the river Bav, that's the name of the river, Bav, that's the name of the river, Bav Nara, is mutter. My time, you don't have to worry that maybe it's a non-kosher fish. Why? Why are you choshish for the non-kosher fish? Usually it's Sachanta we say is a problem because sometimes it's a non-kosher fish. So why are you not choshish for the non-kosher counterpart? It's because it's the running water, Bav Nara, the river Bav, is a running river. And that's why the non-kosher fish cannot exist in that environment. Is that the reason why you're being makel? You're saying that you could assume there's no non-kosher fish because in running water, that non-kosher fish doesn't exist. That the water of the river Bav is running water, and this non-kosher fish, the non-kosher fish, since it doesn't have it doesn't have a spine, so it's not able to exist in such a running water. It can't go against the stream. It can't live in a place where the running is water. That's not true. We see that in non-kosher fish, they could exist even in other places, not this particular river, but we know there are running rivers that this non-kosher fish could exist. So that's not a reason to be lenient. I'm going to say the reason is because there's salty water and this non-kosher fish, since it doesn't have scales, so it can't exist in an environment of salty water. That's not true. We know that non-kosher fish exist in salty water also. But that the non-kosher fish also exist in salty water. For some reason, the mud, whatever the reason is, that river doesn't, the environment for some reason doesn't invite the non-kosher fish. That's the way it is. That there's some, today probably they'll say scientifically why the fish don't grow well in that environment, but the Gemara is not going into the details. The environment is not conducive to that non-kosher fish. So what do we say? The same way you say over here that there are some places that non-kosher fish don't thrive. So too, there are some rivers that these worms don't thrive, and you don't have to be choshish for the worms and the fish. So it depends on the Metzias. He was telling you the Metzias. The facts are in this river, you don't have to be choshish for worms. In this river, you don't have to be choshish for non-kosher fish. That's all good. And we have to take this and apply it to our days and just find out where you can get salmon without a problem of worms, and which other fish you don't have to be choshish for dolphins, whatever the issue would be. And it depends on the Metzias. Nowadays that they channel some rivers that they go into this river Bav, and these other rivers, Naresa and Argamda, that they do have a problem of non-kosher fish. So then back to what used to be that you can't assume that it's kosher. That was the bonus. We finished the whole thing, and that had nothing to do with us. Just we had a case of Darash Shavida Rabbi Loi and Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi says Rabbi Parish, and now we're going back into Hilchos Sukkah.
Is there any reason why we brought down the fish and the worms, or is it anything to do with halachic issues, or it's just
Because of the name.
Because of the name. It said Darash Shavida Rabbi Loi, and then Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi said Rabbi Parish. What do you call the semantics? That similar wording. Stylistic. Two lines from the bottom. Itmar. Back to taking a cruise. You don't have to go for vacation already. Then we've been on the cruise already.
That's right.
Itmar.
cheap vacation?
Itmar. See, so we had the Mishnah back to the issue about schach. We had that if you have schach puzzle on the sides, so till the Alaramas is okay, more than the Alaramas is not good. We call that Dokan Akuma. That's as far as the halacha goes. It's only on the sides of the sukkah, middle of the sukkah, fourth tvachim is considered already a separation. So the Mishnah had a case. One of the applications of this case of this din of Dokan Akuma was if you had a courtyard with three houses in a U shape, and you had an awning in front of all the houses, which is not kosher schach, and you put schach in the middle of the courtyard, and you want to utilize the walls of the house. So we said that if it's less than if the awning is less than Daled Amos, so it's kosher because you could utilize the walls. It's considered like a bent wall till the schach. If the awning is Daled Amos, so then it's too much and you have no walls. The Gemara is going to talk about possibilities that it's still going to be a kosher sukkah, even if you can't utilize the walls of the house. You're in the middle of the courtyard. You're surrounded by three houses that is pushed back for more than 4 amos. It has an awning. The schach is leaning on top of the awnings. In the middle of the courtyard, all the neighbors come out. They have a joint courtyard sukkah. Everybody eats together. But the awning on all three sides is Daled Amos, and therefore you can't utilize the wall of the house to be considered your walls. So the heart is no walls. It's not a kosher sukkah. Itmar. So Psimin Rashi says there's two pshatim in our Gemara. We'll learn Rashi just to point out that this is the more machmir pshat. There's other Rishonim that are more lenient, but the Shulchan Aruch says lachatchila to do like Rashi. So at least this is going to be lachatchila pshat. We'll learn in the Gemara. So yesh lab Psimin. Psimin Rashi says means posts. That if you imagine the house that have an awning, and in the awning, in the far side of the awning, away from the house, you have posts. What holds up the awning? So on one side, it's attached to the house, and the other side, the far side, it has posts, pillars. I said posts is a good word, maybe, and within 3 tefachim to each other. Very simple way of just a picture. I'd like to picture it, but I don't have the pictures today. But if you have the awning that's being held up all alongside the courtyard, it's being held by posts that are less than 3 tefachim. So even though the wall of the house is 4 amas away, and you can't utilize the walls of the house to be the wall of the sukkah, but you could use the posts. The posts are lavud, sticks that within 3 tefachim of each other. So very nice sukkah, beautiful sukkah. You have the schach on top of you, and all around, on all 3 sides, you have continuous posts that are within 3 tefachim of each other, and they're all considered lavud. So it's kosher. Fine. Itma. Chaim David was the chiddush over there, so it's not such a big chiddush, but we'll just point out the chiddush that even though the purpose of the post was not made for the courtyard, it was made to hold up the awning. It means we have the issue of which direction is it made for. The same way the house wall was made for the direction of the house. You're allowed to use it for the courtyard also, for the schach, for the sukkah. So too, there's a small chiddush that even though the posts were not made for the purpose of closing in the courtyard, it was made for closing in the awning, under the awning, you can say lavud even for the opposite direction. So it says, if you made schach over the awnings, in the courtyard over the awnings, that has psimen, these posts every 3 tefachim, less than 3 tefachim, shera, because you have lavud. How about ein lav psimen? So now you're really in trouble. You have an awning which is 4 amas, so you can't use the walls of the house, and you have no psimen, so why should it be good? Any way that the sukkah is going to be kosher, you have no walls. Abai says still could be kosher. Abai amakshera, Abai says still kosher. Abai amakshera, why? So we go to the next page. Aminan pitikra yord v'sosim. A new concept. We didn't talk about it till now. Pitikra yord v'sosim. The word tikra is a roof. Pitikra means the mouth of the roof. Yord v'sosim, it goes down and it closes in. What does that mean? That the awning, you see the awning. If you imagine the awning, let's say you actually points out that it's a thick awning. Let's say a tefach, and it has the mouth of the awning. So pitikra is considered Allah Moshe Messina. It's also considered that it goes down. We had other cases of Allah. We had Tzuas Pesach. We had about good achis, good asik. Now we're talking about pitikra of the sosem. Do you say that the mouth, if anybody has a better word than the mouth of the tikra of the roof or the awning over here?
How about the edge?
The edge. Good, very good. The edge of the awning is considered that it goes down. It closes off. We didn't hear about it till now. We had talked about other kinds of halachas, but now pitikra v'sosim. Even though we hold mechitza tluya in a teres, that was not a pitikra. Mechitza tluya means there was a suspended partition. Now we're talking about that you have a flat horizontal roof awning, and Rashi points out that it has a thickness to it, and Taisvus says that it means a tefach thick. So then that's called a pitikra. You have a chashav edge, and that edge also we see it as coming down. So even though there's no walls, you can't use the walls of the house because it's too far away, and there's no psimen to say lavud. But the fact that the edge of the awning on all 3 sides, on all 3 sides, you have the edge of the awning, and we're going to say that halachically it comes down and you have a sukkah. It comes down, comes into
this. Going down?
It's going to go down. It's going to consider good achis.
Good achis.
But it's not a regular good achis of pulling down a partition. You're pulling down the edge of the awning. Since you have the edge of the awning, someone comes into your sukkah, comes into the courtyard, beautiful schach. Yes, where are your walls? So you look at the walls of the house. No, that's too far away because that's Dalet Amos away. Any Seaman over here, any Lovewood? No Lovewood over here. But then you show him that the edge of the awning all around is a pitikra, and pitikra yod v'sosim.
I'm sorry for the back to a question. How's the awning? How these beams holding?
That, yeah, like you said, they have to ask the contractor how he's able to pick it up. Yeah, it has things coming out of the house. Things that come out of the house in order to hold it up.
I mean, we did see something like this earlier on. But you mean that's a whole wall? You're gonna say that's an entire wall?
I'm not sure what your
those
the
3
awnings.
beams, okay?
Which 3 beams? 3 awnings.
Yeah, but I'm saying they're one by one. They're tefa, right? They're tefa.
The awning, you have a big awning. Awning's 4 amas coming out, extending, protruding out of the house 4 amas. And it's a tefach thick, a thick awning. It doesn't, the Gemara doesn't say that. Rashi throws it in that it should be thick. Without Rashi, it doesn't even say that. You have an awning coming out, it's 4 amas, so 4 amas is too long, too far to be considered a house wall. That's not helping you. But the edge of the awning is going to be considered closing off till the ground. Pitikra, your version, the edge of the awning comes down and closes off. So yes, where are your walls? These are the walls. All alongside that is a pitikra, they come down and they close off my sukkah. So I have 3 walls.
Technically speaking, isn't it enough that just one tefach?
We're not
And I
talking.
don't need
We're
the
not.
whole
We're not talking the same language. So I mean, we're not talking the same. I'm not.
Do I need a whole awning to make it the kosher?
You need 3 walls.
Good achis?
You need 3 walls.
So maybe a shlish stuff.
Yeah, but you just told us the walls are going lateral, horizontal. They're not going down.
Which walls? The awning.
The awning is going lateral. across-
Yes, and you want the edge of it to be considered coming down in order to close off the walls of the sukkah. This is the walls of the sukkah.
Imagine, they're not,
Halachically,
but they're not. Physically,
Yeah.
they're not.
you don't have any. You're under an awning, but you say the edge of the awning halachically closes off.
So I guess what I'm confused is why are we talking about I don't see why the lateral size of the awning is significant. I would say what's significant is that space that's inside, which is tefach by tefach. That is significant as the wall because you're counting the wall from the inside where the schach is going to be sitting.
I'm not following the
I
diagram.
don't see what the lateral size of those.
Can you see my my video?
Make a difference?
One sec.
Yeah, you need a picture because I'm not really.
I don't see it. I mean, I see it, but it's very small. I can't make it out. Does anybody see that?
It's showing the red arrows is showing the Pitikra. It's too small.
See what
I
I'm,
can't-
I'm speaking the language of the picture. Those red
The-
arrows, I'm saying is enough. That one thin line.
Yeah, the picture
Show
shows
without
the
awning.
picture shows 2 walls. Picture shows 2 walls. For some reason, they want to put 2 walls. Rashi doesn't go like that, but fine. There are 2 walls, and for the 3rd wall, they're showing that the edge of the awning halachically comes down.
Well, that's the 3rd wall. But what about the 2 other walls?
They put 2 walls. They put two dicks over here. They picture 2 dicks. Rashi doesn't say that, but that's how they're going probably with Tosfos, that you have 2 walls and
Two
you're
whole walls,
missing
and
1
then
wall.
the question is the 3rd
And for
wall.
1 wall, so you say that the edge of the awning down.
So if
Thank you, Levi Yaakov.
so you need 2 kosher walls for that to work. Is that what I'm hearing?
It doesn't say, Rashi doesn't say that. The picture showed it.
I was thinking that all 3 walls.
Rashi says it.
But they have
Rashi
walls.
says all 3 walls.
Rashi says all 3 walls. Yeah, this picture is only 1 wall, but it could be all 3.
So
My question.
what's the question? Rashi says it on all 3 walls.
Okay, but you saw that little red line there? Those little arrows?
Yes, yes.
I'm assuming that all you need is that edge. I'm not concerned about because it's too long. It's too far away. The awning is too far away from the wall to be considered, what do you call it?
The back side of the awning is too far away. The wall of the house is too far away. The awning comes up till the sukkah, and the edge of the awning is going to be halachically coming down. The same way it showed the red arrows coming down on one side. Rashi says you could do it on all 3 sides. On all 3 sides, don't take away all the dicks over there. And on all 3 sides, the edge of the awning is going to be considered halachically coming down, and you have 3 walls.
I was trying to say that you don't need an awning for that to work. All you need is that little connection to the sukkah. Where the sukkah.
So again, we're not talking the same language. You saw the awning over there?
The awning, I have a picture of the awning without 2 walls. If that helps. I don't know.
Awning do anything.
That's called pitikra without any mechitza. The whole mechitza, the wall of the sukkah is going to be this imaginary halachic pitikra that's coming down. If you have no pitikra, so then there's no sukkah.
Kilo, that's the awning, and so now that we need that extra, we're dropping the
You have a flat awning, and the edge of the awning, it comes down. So I'm not sure when you say that you don't need that. So what do you mean you don't need it? You don't need it. You don't have any.
Let's say the awning is how much? Like 4.5 almonds. So it's not kosher in terms of.
You're not using that wall of the house. You're not using the wall of the house.
It's not good for Dofen Akuma.
Again, please.
Not good for Dofen Akuma.
Right, you can't use the wall of the, you can't use the wall of the house.
That's what I was
The wall of the house is out of the picture. The wall of the house is too far away. So we're
Okay.
not using that.
Now
we're
I'm
using-
dropping the awning. Let's say the 4.5 or whatever it is over 4, almost down. Doesn't reach the ground. Doesn't even reach between 3.
Unless the words again, we're not talking the awning. And now the edge of the awning halachically comes down. Those red arrows. I'm not sure.
The edge.
I have a different picture up now. Maybe this is helpful for. Wait a minute.
Yeah, we have the book over here also, so we could also.
It's
use
the same book.
Yes. Which page are you pointing to?
Is this the same one? Oz V'Hatar? I'm on page Samet Daled.
Yeah, this is mine.
Kuf Tzadi Aleph. Picture illustration Kuf Tzadi Aleph.
I have different numbering. This is the different numbering than you have. But
I have this. I'm not sure you're using like this book. I'm using this
no,
book.
no, okay, I have a different one. Okay, so we'll have to talk about it and with picture form. But
Okay.
Does it imaginarily drop
the
down?
end of the edge of the awning roughly closes off the full.
Okay.
So that's the top line. The Abai says say particular Sosim. Rabbi says you don't say Psula don't mean particular Sosim. Simple words in the Gemara. He doesn't know this concept. It doesn't no such thing. Amalei Rabbi Abai. L'didach tam particular Sosim. Afilu hifches dofen amsoy. Rabbi says to Abai, this is difficult. Rashi is going to have difficulty with this. We'll just say what the words say, and Taisus is Kasha and Rashi. Abai, Rabbi told Abai, according to you, they say particular word so saying, how about if the back wall is also missing? The back wall means you have 2 walls of the sukkah, and you're missing the back wall. And are you going to say particular is kosher with particular word so saying? Rashi says that the schach alone, even if you don't have the awning, why don't you say particular on the schach alone? That the schach should come down on one side. Say particular the same way we say particular the whole time that the edge of the awning comes down. How about the edge of the schach? The schach itself should also be considered a tikra, and the edge of the schach also you should say that it's considered coming down. And even if you don't have a back wall, you have the 2 sides
Right.
walls, and you don't have the back wall. Are you going to say tikra utilizing the schach to be considered a tikra, and the sukkah should be kosher because it has a 3rd wall also? Is just to say the kasha outside, I would say it's simple without some details. Till now we spoke about tikra, that the awning, the edge of the awning comes down. How about if there's no awning, just the sukkah, you have schach, say that the schach itself should be considered the tikra, and the edge of the schach should be considered halachically coming down on 3 sides. Or
One problem is that we don't have the tefach as Rashi would have wanted.
so maybe you do have a tefach.
You want to say-
Let's say you have a tefach. Rashi says if you happen to make a sukkah out of thick boards
And
that
you
are
have a problem with kavir kavur building.
no, that's not 4 tvachim, less than 4 tvachim wide, not wide boards, just thick boards. That's how. Rashi
If we would end up having the schach do the pitikra, then we wouldn't have to have, and those are the walls. Then you could just have schach suspended,
Right.
and,
with no
and nobody
walls
would
at
say
all.
that that's okay,
Right.
would they?
And why not? That's the kasha. That might be.
Uh-huh.
That might be
We
the
said
Gemara's
all
kasha
3
also.
walls,
Right,
2.5 walls,
right.
right.
And the Gemara doesn't. The Gemara could have. The Gemara could have asked that kasha. And the Gemara doesn't even ask that. The Gemara says at least use it for 1 wall. If you have 2 good walls, at least use pitikra of the schach
it.
itself to say pitikra on the 3rd wall.
It worried me all these halachas that are cooler, especially the picture we saw before, which we says.
What does kula mean? It means that the right says good. It has to be that Torah law says that is good.
Yeah. So what?
It's a lot of
but there's
Moshe
a- there's
Sinai
a-
that they say
It's
pitikra
Torah,
of the
but it's a cooler only by the 3rd wall.
So that's the question.
I'm suggesting,
So
I'm suggesting. I'm
Rashi
not
started
saying
off the
that, no,
sugya.
I'm talking-
The picture that Yaakov showed us was that for 2 walls you had regular good
Right.
walls, thick, and all the issue was a 3rd wall. Rashi says not like that. Rashi says that helps even on the top, on all 3 walls.
Right.
So Rashi's going to be, we're going to end up with a contradiction right now because the Gemara is going to say no. Abai says I didn't mean it only if in case we have only 2 good walls and the back wall is taken down. I'm not going to say it over there. The Gemara answers Amalei Ladina Lacha Behahi that will like a Mavi Mufulish. Over there, I'm not going to say Pitikra because it's going to be like a Mavi Mufulish. Here, you have two good walls, and the back wall is open, and you want to use Pitikra in order to close it up. And Abai says, no, I don't say that. So that seems to be mamish against what Rashi said. Rashi said he said on all three sides. If they're on the awning, you can say Pitikra on all three sides. And now that you have two good walls, and you want to use one Pitikra from the schach, to say the Pitikra of the schach is going to come down, you don't say that either. So Taisus doesn't understand. Taisus is asking Rashi. Rashi says this, and Taisus says he doesn't understand. And Rashi says some terrace, and Taisus says that it's a Sfar Mashuna. He doesn't understand Rashi's Sfar Mashuna. So
What's the lashon in Rashi you're referring to? Which Rashi? Which lashon?
I just said Sfar Mashuna is Taisus in the first white line. After he reads Rashi, it says Sfar Mashuna. It's like not a regular Sfar, not reasonable Sfar Mashuna. Rashi, we see Rashi inside. Rashi talks about Sketcha. And Rashi seems to contradict himself. The Rashi on the top line, as we see Rashi on the top line, it says Mikol Tzad. I mean, particular of Rasos and Mikol Tzad. So when Rashi starts the sugi, he says that if you have three awnings, you could say, and all three awnings are going to come down. And Rashi continues, and he says, Rabbi said, according to you, you can say particular of Rasos in the back wall. Tema Hachinami, if you have, Rashi says here on the fourth line, Hachinami b'sukkah asuyah ket b'emsa chaser. You have a sukkah which is far from any awning. When mesuchach b'nesarim ovim, it has schach of thick boards. Of course,
You're reading Rashi or the text?
Right.
I'm reading Rashi.
Okay.
You see Rashi on the screen.
Yeah, what's
Shein b'chavim dalid. If you have boards that are, of course, not 4 tvachim wide, because 4 tvachim wide boards we don't a puzzle, even if it's thin. But if you have nesarim of vim, this is Rashi. Rashi put in the word that it should be thick. Taisus, by the way, Taisus and Avery brings down this Rashi to say that you only say pitikra when it's thick, and he says a tefach thick. So it's not a Gemara, but it's a Rashi, and Taisus quotes the Rashi that you have to have a thick tikra in order to say pitikra or so. So he says if you're going to have a sukkah which is far removed from any chatzar, and it has schach of boards which are thick, but of course not wide 4 tvachim, and then you're going to say if the middle wall is missing, the back wall got down. You have two good walls on the sides. You're also going to say that it's kosher. So Bai says no, over there not. I'm not going to say it over there because it's considered a mavim foolish. It's like a throughway. They only have two good walls, which Rashi has to be explained because Rashi on the top line said you do say particular resources on all three walls, and here you're saying you only say that you don't even say it on one wall if it's going to make it mavim foolish. It's going to make only two walls on the side. Rashi seems to contradict himself, mamish, from line to line. So there's an answer, but just for today, what else we do more the way it says it, and it still has to be explained. I hope tomorrow to come back with a little bit more insight. The Gemara continues. So what do we have at this point? Machlokas Abai and Rava. If you say particular V'sosem, do you say this new concept that the edge of the ceiling is considered closing down? Lema Abai Rava beflukted Rabbi Shmuel Kamifli. We found a similar Machlokas also on Roim, Rabbi Shmuel, the earlier generation, and the Machlokas Abai Rava seems to be mamish the same as Machlokas Rabbi Shmuel. They were talking about Hilchos Shabbos, the Itmar, Side River Bika. You have a pergola, middle of no place. It means nothing to do with a chutzner, and a bika means an open valley, open field. Another way of saying that you just have a pergola with not next to any kind of house. Usually, when Rashi says usually when you make an achsadri, you just make an awning. You don't make any walls. Sometimes you make this pergola next to a house, and then the wall of the house will be one of the walls. But the Gemara wants to express that it has no wall, so it says achsadri bebika. It's out in the field. So you're under an awning, and it's big. It's a big awning, more than Daled Amos. If it's less than Daled Amos, no problem with you're allowed to carry less, even if it's just less than Daled Amos. But if you're in a place which is under an awning which is bigger than Daled Amos, are you allowed to carry under the whole awning? It's just a rabbin. You're under which is more Kamalist. Are you allowed to carry under the awning? So you have no walls. So why should you allowed to carry? But the Gemara is going to say, "Pitikra was so same." That this tikra alone, maybe it's so same, maybe even on all four walls, that it comes down. The edge of the tikra is considered so same, and you're in a private domain because you have walls on all sides. So that's what it says. It seems to say over here, even on all four walls. Our discussion just spoke about the top of the page. If you say it on one wall, two walls, all the walls, get here. Rav seems to be like Abaye. Rav says you're allowed to carry under the whole thing, even if it's bigger than Daled Amos. Particularly Rabbi Sosem. Shmuel Lama Daled Amos. Allow me to particular Rabbi Sosem. And Shmuel says you're not allowed to carry. Oh, of course, Daled Amos you could carry because you can carry even with just a rabbin. That's Daled Amos. But if this awning is bigger than Daled Amos, you only could carry in Daled Amos of it because you have no walls. Why? Because you don't say particular Rabbi Sosem. So it seems to be that Rav holds, Abaye holds like Rav, that you do say particular Rabbi Sosem, and Rav holds like Shmuel that you don't. So we have to stop here, and the Gemara is going to continue and say if that's true or not. But seemingly, the Gemara says that machlokes Abai and Rav, if you say particular Rebbe is dependent on the machlokes Rav and Shmuel. The same machlokes if you say particular Rebbe. We'll stop over here just to about what we learned today. We had the finishing off the sugya about schach pasel in the middle of the sukkah. You have the shir dalaram is only 4 tvachim. Again, we paskin 4 tvachim. In the middle of the sukkah, only 4 tvachim. Once you have 4 tvachim, it separates the sukkah. It's considered a flaga. Just a nice thing to point out again from Rashi that there's no such mishnah. This whole thing of 4 tvachim is just the Gemara figured out because it's considered a chosh, a significant amount of place. 4 tvachim is significant, and if you have 4 tvachim of schach pasel, the 2 sukkahs are considered separated, and that's the halacha. By ear, less than 3 tvachim. By schach pasel, less than 4 tvachim. On the side, so then by schach pasel we could have dofen akum. One is lavud and one is schach pasel, and it's a significant shear. By the side of the wall, so then till the amish you have dofen akum. As far as the halacha, that's how it goes. As far as ear space, the Gemara had a machlokes if you could say lavud even in the middle. Maybe your lavud is only on the side, and the Gemara brought down by erevin you have lavud even in the middle. By tuma you don't have lavud in the middle, and the Gemara says. And the Gemara doesn't say it leads it as a machlokes. You're asking like the Mekel that you're allowed, you're allowed to say love it even in the middle. So to sum up the halachos, airspace less than 3 tvachim is good, no matter the side or the middle, and 3 tvachim is considered a split both on the side or on the middle. Airspace till 3 tvachim. And as far as
more than 3 tvachim, the whole sukkah is
if you don't have 3
all the way
walls,
around.
you look at it, you look like it's split down the middle, and you have 2 sukkahs
on
now.
the side.
And see it.
If you have a space of 3 between the walls,
So you have no walls. You have no walls.
you have no walls, it's not a sukkah.
Yeah.
It's not a kosher
Yes,
sukkah. The whole
yes.
thing is not kosher.
And schach pasel, less than 4 tvachim is kosher,
Mhm.
and you even allowed to sleep under it. 4 tvachim is pasel in the middle. On the side, you have till dalar amos because of dofen akuma, and you're also not allowed to sleep under it.
Rebbe.
Yes, please.
Yeah, short answer to what you asked me. It holds for the whole sugya from the Mishnah, but the Iker Makor is on Yud Zion, where the Gemara says, "Aber the pasel b'shloshim min alon the Tanan the hirki kesasikuk min adefanu shlosh tefachim tzula."
I wanted
And
to
over there,
second, please,
over-
if I could just finish the sikum, everyone's to leave.
okay, yeah, I didn't know you were in the middle. Sorry.
So the Gemara also had a point about sukkah ketana. If you have a small sukkah minimum size, so then it's not enough just to have. You can't have 3 tvachim even of schach pasel. It seems you have to have 4 plus of schach kosher, and then the remaining less than 3, you could even have airspace, but you have to have at least more than 4 tvachim of schach kosher. The Gemara continued about the side point that came about fish and worms and non-kosher fish. That it depends sometimes on the environment, and some rivers have problems of fish and worms. Non-kosher fish and worms, then you have to know. Then you can't eat it. You have to check it, and and you could rely in a place where has a chazaka that over there are no non-kosher fish. So then you're allowed to eat it without worrying. Then one at the bottom spoke about lavud, and if you have posts that are lavud, even if the lavud was made for the other direction, it's okay. You're allowed to use lavud for the opposite direction. As far as pitikra, that's machlokes if you say pitikra or not. Abai says yes, and Rav also by Hilchos Shabbos that the edge of the awning there are going to be some conditions to say pitikra. So far we saw that Rashi says it has to be thick, and Abai holds pitikra of the sosing. Rashi started off saying even on all 4 directions, but right away the Gemara said no, you have to have 2 perpendicular walls. For the third one, you could say pitik or not. If you can have even above even foolish, even if you have 2 good walls, if it's going to be the third middle wall, you're not going to say it. And the Gemara tries to compare this machlokes to Rav and Shmuel, and the Gemara tomorrow is going to say maybe it's not the same, but we'll get there tomorrow. Yes, Emmanuel.
Yeah, so the Mishnah Berurah has a one-line answer to show that in Halacha L'Moshe B'Sinai, what you just went through now, which is Pitikra and also Gudakis and Gudasik Makitzas, do not go together with another Halacha L'Moshe B'Sinai. In other words, there's a problem in joining 2 Halacha L'Moshe B'Sinai. But from the Gemara on Yud Zion, from the Mishnah, where it says Haber the Pasuk B'Shloshim Minala, and it says the Tanan Erki Kesasikuk Mina Defana Shlosh Tefachim Tzula, the Mishnah Berurah, the last line says the Efsher Heki Demina Defanos Adaschak Upakos Mi Gimel Tefachim Lekule Alma Yesh Lahakel Damrin Lavud Vud Dofen Akuma. So there we see a chiddush. That's in tough Reish Lamed base in the end of Dalet.
Which Gemara do you see? Which Gemara are you quoting?
It's from this Gemara on Yud Zion that I quoted you,
What
which
does
is
it say in
bringing
Yud
from the
Zion?
Mishnah.
What
What?
does it say?
It
What does it say in
says
the Mishnah?
Over Pasal Misloisha Skak Pasal. No, it says Skak Pasal. Excuse me. Over the Pasal Misloisha Minalachu. the Tanan hirchik as hasikuk mina defana shlosh tefachim psula. So there's discussion that follows in the Gemara about the distance from the schak to the defanas, and usually it puzzles. But in this discussion, there's a hamsa of joining lavud in pachas mishlosha to the defanas in order to have both dofen akuma and lavud to maksha the sukkah, and it comes out yes. So
I don't see any Gemara. I don't see any Gemara. Where do you see a Gemara that has both of them together? Which Gemara?
You're Zion Amid Aleph. Take a look.
I'm looking. What am I supposed to look at? Tell me what I'm supposed to look at.
Look at the hemshek. Look at the hemshek to Amina lahu ana avir the possible shloshim min alahu the tanan hirchikas atzikuk min adefanu shloshim tefachim psula.
Yes.
And look in the hemshek of the hezbir there, and the Mr. Brewer summarizes it as the efshir.
Without Mr. Brewer, I know the posting. I want to see in the Gemara where do you see that they combine. Well, I'm not sure what you see in the Gemara. The person talk about it, but where do you see a Gemara that has both of them together?
It's on this daf. It's a hemshek of that. I'll read you a chelik that addresses it. Okay. Hirchik as a sikuk mina defanu shlosh tefachim psula. Behind him itnei sha'aver gimel tefach. This is a hezber now on that. Behind Mirav Michel. Behind him itnei sha'aver gimel tefachim mafsik ben aschak ledoifen.
Yes.
Okay, so that's the problem.
A kosher wall.
And then the hemshek a couple lines later says mishum dofen akuma naguba.
No, I don't see anything. It's two different Gemaras. There's nothing over there. One Gemara talks about separating the wall, the schach, from the wall, the side wall, not the dofen akuma, a side wall. It shares 3 tefachim, and then it says the other part of the Mishnah, which talks about a house that has no ear space over there, and it says the shares daled amos. One Gemara is about ear space, one Gemara is about dofen akuma. It doesn't put it together.
Well, there's also a whole rosh here on the subject, but I'll learn up the rosh better, and I'll show you from the rosh what he says, proving it.
Okay,
But anyway, that's what the Mr. Brewer. The Mr. Brewer, you're saying you don't see the Makor in the Gemara. Like you said on the box, like you said from the box the other day.
Yeah, the post can talk about it, but I want to see where they get it from. As I'm looking, as we learn, is there any case of 2 together? I don't see it. I don't see that the Gemara had a case. Yashikov.
I would never imagine that the Mr. Brewer is going to come out lekule alma yesh lahakel damrin and biachad pakutz misloisha if he didn't have a Gemara mitzvah for Eshes. And as far as I understand, the Rosh is mavired here, but I'll look at it inside and we'll talk about it later.
Yashikov. Thank you. Thank you.
Baruch Tiyeh.
Thank you.